Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to master the settings inside Wrecking Ball. Now this encompasses several different things. We have our gateway settings, which is this page here, our shortcode info, our information page, resources, layout, emails, FAQ manager, errors, mobile SMS, and time zones. Time zones has already been covered in the general setup, so we won't go over that, but the rest of these we will cover in this video, and I will chapter these out based on the section that I'm talking about for you. First, we get into the general settings. We have a tracking ID. The tracking ID can be your own number or name of a person that referred, or maybe just a customer ID that's at your company. This way you can always be sure of who's who just by the tracking number. Now because you're the admin, you don't necessarily have to put a tracking ID in here. Inside the client accounts, you can put a tracking ID for each customer as well. So you're more than welcome to leave this blank. You can put your first name and last name in here if you wish as the owner of the system. Definitely want to have a company name inside of here. Your country, which is the country you currently reside in. And you want to use the abbreviation all capitalized if possible. Next is our email address. This is our license email. Do not remove this ever in any instance. This is the account for the admin, and this is used to log in. This is used to reference our license system to check that everything is cool. And if you do change this, you're going to get a lot of bugs. You're not going to be able to log in. For one thing, an SMS may not be delivered inside of your admin account. Next is support email address. This is where emails regarding support will be sent to, and usually this comes from if somebody goes to the contact us page. When they fill this out, what's going to happen is it's going to be delivered to that email that's inside of the support email. So back to the settings here. Next we have our password for our system. You can edit the password at any time. Just make sure that you remember it. We do have a check for password feature where it'll send you the password if you happen to forget. Next, this is our office phone for call. So this is mostly displayed inside of web forms and also on contact forms. So this is the phone number that should be referenced for them to contact you via phone. Next is the URL for SPS. SPS is the SMS prospecting system. It is a sales page or website, so to say, that sells SMS service. This was sold in 2012. This is before Wrecking Ball or WootText had the features that it does have now, where you can just implement buttons into your own WordPress website to make sales. But the SPS program is currently not for sale. Those of you who have SPS already know how to use this URL, so I'm not going to get into how to use this URL. Reference and training for the SMS prospecting system, how to enter the URL for your SPS system. Next, anytime you update the system on the dashboard, if you want to get notified via email, just click on this checkbox here, click on update, and you're good to go. And that covers the general settings. Next is our SMS handling settings. First is the SMS append text. This is what's going to be used by our admin SMS system, which is accessed here. You also have the option to where you can set the stop message here, and all of your clients that end up signing up under your system will have to inherit that append text so that they're in compliance. Because obviously you guys don't want to get in trouble for any spam that is sent without a stop message, because it is in most countries required to have a stop message at the end of every SMS that's sent out. To make all your clients use the admin stop, just check this box here and you'll be good to go. New username message, this is going to be removed in future versions. Also, there seems to be a copy here, and we'll remove this in the next version of WootText. Next is our typo message. This is the message that is received if our system doesn't recognize a keyword that is texted in by a customer. So you might have 3 keyword campaigns. Let's say you have the keywords labeled as keyword 1, keyword 2, keyword 3. User texts in keyword 4. This is what they're going to get, the message. So just enter your message here, and it's automatically going to have appended the stop text. Anytime you're creating SMS to be sent from the system, you don't need to put the stop message in there because it'll automatically be appended based on the settings here. Also, on the client side, if you don't have that enabled where they have to use the admin stop message, the user will come in here, enter their append text and their own typo message. Any typos that come in will jump into the SMS inbox. There might be instances in certain campaigns where let's say a bar is sending out a mass SMS, and the mass SMS says, hey, we got a new band coming in on Friday. Someone might reply, I'll be there. And then since there's no keyword to match that, that's going to jump in the SMS inbox, and there's an opportunity here for the client to respond to that user saying, well, if you're going to be here like 10 minutes early because parking is going to be very sparse. Something like that. So they can actually engage a conversation with the person that texted in the wrong keyword. So back to the settings here. Next is our terms and conditions URL. This is your laws of your country placed into some sort of file. It could be on a web server, on a web page, or it could be a text file. But you want to have a link to that, because what happens is, and we'll get into the training for the mass SMS, when sending a broadcast, and let me just set up a quick account here. Test 1. And this is the mass SMS I'm going to send out. I'm going to send an SMS. I'm going to save that. And then let's say I want to send an SMS. And this is just mine. Keep in mind, this is me as the customer coming here and setting this up. So I want to send a message to the test campaign. And here's my terms and conditions URL. They have to click this in order to send the broadcast. So that's what the terms and conditions URL is for. Back to the settings. Next we have our payment settings, and you want to determine which merchant account you're going to use. We do have PayPal, Authorized.net, and First Data. It's as easy as entering the PayPal email if you want to collect PayPal payments. If you're using Authorized.net, we just need the transaction ID, an API login ID. In the system, we ought to automatically take payments for Authorized.net. If you're using First Data, there's some short instructions here. You don't want to download the PDF, but it tells you how to set up your First Data account, and then you just need, once you're done doing that, just grab the First Data store number and then enter it here, click on update, and now First Data will be used as your payment system for all the payment buttons that the system creates. Next is our scheduler's week starting date. Depending on where you live on this great earth, your week might start on Sunday, your week might start on Monday. This is used for the scheduler, because what happens is, let me come back here, and I'll go to the scheduler here, which will have another demo video of how to use that. Now you see here Monday is on the extreme left side of the calendar. We set this to Sunday as the beginning of the week, it'll put Sunday on the left hand side. So everything will look congruent to how you're used to things being as far as a calendar view is. I'll go back to manage, back to settings, so I can continue the demo here. Next is delete all testing numbers. From time to time, whether you're testing through the short code or you're testing through long codes, your phone number may get bound to a process. A good example is, let's say you are setting up a reply with name. There'll be a video on that in the client area. And let's say you're testing and you text a keyword, and it asks you for your first name and you don't reply. Well, that sticks your phone number into a process where it can't be taken out unless you reply. And that's held for 48 hours, and then it automatically be removed. If you want to go out and demo this to your potential customers, you want to make sure that you get used to deleting your number inside of the delete all testing number, so when you go to your clients, your number is not bound into another client's test campaign inside of Wrecking Ball SMS or WootText. So enter your number here, and it'll delete your number from the process, so you'll be able to go into that store, go to that customer, and say, hey, I'm going to test the system. I'm going to show you how this works. You put the phone number and everything will work fine. Because if you don't delete your testing numbers, there might be an instance where you might get a little embarrassed because things won't work right. That's not a bug in the system. That's just how we set it up, because the system takes care of interactivity of the customer to the account inside of Wrecking Ball. The customer must complete the process, if there is a process, beyond just sending in a keyword before they can do anything else inside the system for 48 hours. So always be sure to delete your testing numbers. Next is our training settings. We do have default generic training videos that your clients can use. But if you have your own training, just set the URL to that training. You can have a bunch of videos on that page. And what that'll do inside the client side, if they click on training, instead of going to the Wrecking Ball training here or WootText training, it'll go to the URL specified when they click on the training here. There's also a link, I believe, inside of the settings. You know what? I think that is the only training link that appears at the very top here. So back to the home, or excuse me, back to manage, back to settings. Next, we go into check for stuck phone numbers. Sometimes, just like explained here, and delete all testing numbers, there'll be a phone number inside WootText if you're using a short code that'll get stuck in the process, which is for 48 hours. And as a tester of the short code, you want to make sure that your testing always goes right, so you want to purge it from the system. Enter your phone number here, and it'll tell you if the phone number is currently in a process inside WootText. If it is, you'll have the option to delete that process. That way, you can go into that store and have a wonderful presentation for your customers. Alright, next we have the time difference between appointment. Inside of the client side, if you do have it enabled for your customer, we have the appointment manager here. Now, when an appointment is created, you can select the minutes of that appointment. Now, the option here is, let me go jump back over here. I'll go down, is you can have those appointments in between 10-minute increments, 15-minute increments, or 5-minute increments. You need to make sure and see the video on creating your cron job. When you make your decision on how you want appointments, the increments that appointments can be created, you have to have the cron job exactly the same. Currently, in the training, we show you how to set up for 15 minutes. To change that, you're going to have to go into your cron system and change it from 15 minutes to every 10 minutes. That way, that cron can run and parse that appointment and send it to the customer. In most instances, running it every 10 minutes and every 5 minutes may get you in a little trouble with your host because it's excessive use of server resources. Ideally, you want to keep it at 15-minute increments. But there might be an instance where you have a client that has a customer that has appointments in 5-minute or even 10-minute increments. In that case, you might have to change your cron job just to suit them. Just always check with your host first to see what increment of cron jobs is going to affect your server resource so you don't get kicked off your host. But setting at 15 minutes should be very fine. Next, we have our API key. When you come into your settings for your very first time, you should come in here, click on Generate Key, click on OK, and then once it's updated, do not ever update this again. This API key is used in several of the modules inside of the install. If that is changed, when you have already set out live web forms or live payment reminder services inside of the system, if you already have all that stuff already set up and you come in here and change your API key, this will definitely affect how other APIs talk to WootText or Wrecking Ball SMS because they're going to be parsing in this key as a signature that they're allowed to text into you. Otherwise, it'll fail at their end if they try to send an SMS through your system using the API key. So always be aware, once you set it, just completely forget it. From time to time, you might get a customer support request saying that an SMS isn't going out. Your first order of business should be to check if their message length is a little too long. So come into the check message length, which is located here. It's also located inside of the Customer Center that they can check themselves, and you can probably teach them if they ever have problems how to debug themselves. But in this case, we have our test campaign that we created on our setup, and in this case it's 28 characters long. Now there might be some messages inside of your settings of the campaign where it's a reply with name. If a customer, let's say your reply with name message is only, or thank you message is only 150 characters long, right? And you put in all the merge tags. Well, if a customer responds with their name and their name is 30 characters, which sometimes happens, it's not going to send the SMS because the limit is 160 characters to send an SMS. So always be cognizant when you're creating your messages for a conversation that information might be automatically added to the text if you have merge tags, and that information, character lengths of the information that's replaced inside those merge tags might be longer than you might have initially expected. So ideally, I like to, when I create a campaign message or response, I usually keep it around 140 characters with the merge tags. So in case those long names come through, we want to make sure that the SMS does get delivered. Anytime there is an issue with the length of the campaign message, it'll be indicated with a red little yield sign here, and it'll appear next to the if memory. And it'll tell you exactly which message is causing the system not to deliver the message because of the length of the SMS. Shortcode information. This button here. See the training for implementing or integrating the WootText shortcode into your installation. Next is our information. If ever requested by developers, what version you're running, you can jump here. But keep in mind, it's always on your dashboard here at the very top as well. But this is kind of like what I like to call just a little certificate of authenticity of the version and that you're using Wrecking Ball. Next is our resources. If you ever want to add training or documentation, how to use the system, or just PDFs, anything that you want to add into the client side, you can add any resource. So in this case, I want to add like an image, and this could be training for keywords, active. I choose my file, so I'm going to come back in here, pick an image. I'll just pick this right here, click on open, click on save, and now I've added this to the library of resources. So if I jump over to the client side here, go to resources, you'll see now here it's been added to the system resources, and this will tile going left to right. Depending on how many you have, I click on it, it'll open in a big window and it'll automatically show all the details for that particular resource. Next is our layout. I'm not going to get too much in here on the layout. Always view the customization instructions here, but essentially what happens here, each one of these things applies to an element inside of the SMS gateway that you can customize. You'll see here it's laid out on which customizes which aspect of the system. You can change everything from the back image here. You can change the colors of the buttons. You can change the colors of the windows. It's pretty in-depth on what you can change and actually make it look to the branding that you require to show your customers. Whenever you create your initial settings that you want for the look, always click on save. Here we have the client logo image. Whatever you set the image here is always going to be on the client side. Inside the admin, you're always going to see our branding here. Back to the layout. And next is the client background image. This is the image here. There is a specification for the width, what this needs to be, so it doesn't overwrite the buttons, because the buttons are see-through here. So you want to make sure when you create that image, the bottom of the graphical ribbon is 113 pixels from the top. From here to here is 113 pixels. You should always be aware of that when you're creating the image that you're going to use for the background that goes at the top of your system. Next, we get into the emails. These are the automatic emails that the system sends. For example, when a customer registers, and I'll show you how they register when we get into the actual client accounts and creating payments in their buttons. Essentially, these are the auto response emails that occurs when a person registers. This is the subject and this is the body of the email. You have these contact info tags that you can use that automatically parse the information, so you don't have to customize it for every single customer. The system will automatically do that. Information about payment, if their account is low, and admin contact info tags. So just be cognizant of how to use these. This refers to a payment that they made. If their account is low on resources, and this is more or less down here, you're going to want to use that. And the account contact information should pretty much go on every single one. But you're going to have the one that goes to the client, and you're going to have one that goes to the admin. In case you forget how to set things up or to finish closing the account, or closing the deal and the account set up, you want to have the instructions to remind yourself how to do that here. It always helps that you have a new client. You might want to give them a call, whatever you do to remind yourself on the next steps. We have one for payment received. After you receive a payment, we want to indicate them. Here's your receipt, and you can put the payment tags in there. And then obviously you have notification for yourself as well. Next is account low template. Whenever their SMS credits get low, you can indicate to them they'll have to go in and buy more credits. And same here, we have the client and admin message, depending on how you want to handle that. If their account gets suspended for any reasons, whether you deactivate them inside the client center or they run out of credits, you can enter those messages here and use all the client info tags and account tags that you need to use from the right hand side here. Just simply take the tag and you can put that in the subject line and you can put that in the body. Next is send mass email. The system allows you to send a mass email to all the clients inside your system. If you want to send a mass email, just put in the topic here or the subject and then the body. And if you're selling something or you're selling a new service, you can send them all those messages inside of here, inside of the client center. To send this, just simply click on push email and it automatically push emails to all those clients. And next, you want to have a footer inside of your body of your messages. Instead of having to put the company name, all the company information at the bottom of every email, just simply put it in the footer here. You can put your first name, last name, email, and also any other information you want to put in here based on the tags on the right hand side. Next is our FAQ manager. The FAQs appear inside of the client side on the FAQs here. Now, these are questions that are most recently and most oftenly asked by your clients, and to absolve yourself from having to deal with that same question over and over again, just add some SMS gateway FAQs. Go into Manage, Settings, FAQ Manager, and then click on the plus button here. And this could be a short description, how to send a mass SMS. How do you send a mass SMS? This is the answer. And we can select our order of appearance if the FAQs appear based on the popularity. And we can determine if we want to publish it or block it from appearing inside of their client side FAQs. Click on Save. And that question will automatically appear on your client side FAQ page. Next are errors. From time to time the system might generate PHP errors. Generally, in most instances, not an issue. Sometimes it comes from a bad login. But from time to time the server may crash, and it'll be indicated here based on failures. It doesn't necessarily mean things are wrong with your system, but at any time, if our developers request that you send the error log, just click on Tell Us Now, and at any time you come in here and click on Delete. If you're not experiencing any problems, just click on Delete and it'll refresh those error files. And you can also download those and send those to the programmer as well. Next is the mobile SMS. This takes you to the admin mobile SMS system, and this is pretty much set up just like the client side, but it's in a mobile version, so everything that can be done on the client side can mostly be done on the mobile side as well if you're on the road. So I'm going to come in here and put in my details. And if you're on a mobile, click on Remember Me, click on Login, and you can see it shows us all the current stats on the dashboard here. But you can come in here and click on this button here, and you have all the access to the same features that are already inside of the client side. And you'll see you have a keyword campaign here, we have our test campaign, we have all our campaign details.